because I am being a total noob and I did not have my mic on. And before that, I didn't check my storage. So here we are again. Woo! I haven't had to do like 3 takes in a while. So we are starting out with Kitty Pryde. This is, this one I got at Comic-Con. I don't think it was the Dallas one. I'm pretty sure I got this at the Comic-Con that was here in my county a couple months ago. So I've been very excited to review this one, to read this one, because I absolutely love the miniseries, the 4-issue series Wolverine that I did. And so when I saw this, I was like, yes, heck yes, I love Wolverine. And I didn't know who Kitty Pryde was. I've since learned she's part of the X-Men. So let's get to know her. Kitty Pryde, 15 years old, part of the X-Men. Her ability is that she can walk through solid objects. It's kind of a cool thing to do. Her parents have she's also in Illinois, and she, like on Christmas break, and she's just gone ice skating on the pond in the cutest ice skating outfit that 15-year-old Megan would have loved. I used to ice skate on the pond, but I did not get cute skates with pom-poms or a cute skating outfit, so sad. The writer is Chris Claremont, and Alan Milgram is the artist. This issue is presented by Stan Lee and is called Lies. So Kitty Pryde, she's just got broken up with, like her boyfriend just broke up with her, and then her parents have just recently divorced. So she's kind of like an emotional mess, basically. And she is staying with her dad right now in Illinois. He owns a bank, works at a bank. So she goes to the bank and realizes it's locked because it's like Saturday or Sunday. So she just walks through without thinking and scares the security guard, who doesn't see her, but he turns around and is like, how the heck did you get here? Because, she's 15 and she's new to X-Men, and so she's not super great yet at hiding her identity. She has a lot of close calls. But she goes to her father's office and hears arguing and opens the door to this scary big dude. Right there. Super scary big dude. And she meets some other dudes. So the big dude is the bodyguard, Mr. Shumai. Mr. Delano and Mr. Walsh are part of the North American management team. And Mr. Ogun is from the main office in Japan. So y'all might recognize this character. He was from the miniseries with Wolverine. So we're getting some crossover here, obviously, which is kind of cool. And her father tells her that he is being escorted, quite the escort, to Japan to conduct business. And she needs to go back to Professor Xavier's school, which she doesn't do because she's, 15. And she knows that something's going on and something's not right. But instead of calling for help, she decides, I'm just going to follow him, morph my way onto the airplane, and go to Tokyo, Japan. Because why the heck not? Also super dangerous. You could not do that nowadays with all the security cameras that are everywhere. I don't see how she wasn't caught on security camera here. I don't know what year this is though, so I don't know. Maybe it was easy then. Anyways, she gets caught again because she morphed herself into the luggage compartment of the plane, but then she goes up into the cabin, takes a nap, and is discovered. When the plane lands, she just goes through the bottom, is almost discovered again because she basically lands on top of these guys. She escapes, makes her way to the building, this office building where her father is going to conduct business with the Japanese businessmen, aka gangster dudes. Anyway, we'll find out more. and takes a nap there and is discovered. She's like not good at this. But again, she's 15, so what do you know, right? Anyway, leaves her skates behind, leaves her hat behind. So that's a way of identifying her. Steals money from a bank machine because she can just like slip her hand into the machine because she can go through solid objects. Gets caught while escaping again. Goes through the city street into the freaking sewer. Washes out of the sewer. Makes her way back to the city. And is at the end of her rope, so she decides to call Dr. Xavier, who picks up the phone, but Wolverine. And then she freaks out, slams the phone down, realizes that a security camera at the banking machine caught her face, so now everybody knows her, decides, screw it, I'm going back to this, to the business tower in the business district, and I'm going to listen in on this conversation they're about to have with my dad. And this is where she discovers that basically they're going to use her dad's bank to launder money through. Something else happens, though, because we get her screaming in terror, screaming her dad's name. And the next issue is called Terror. And that is it. That is Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, issue 1. So we don't know a heck of a lot. Obviously, this issue is just kind of, like we're being introduced to characters. We're being, like the whole story, everything, the scenarios are being set up. So, but this is going to be really, really good. The art is different than with Wolverine. Obviously, we've got different artists. It doesn't, at this point, have that same action to it that Wolverine did, but I'm still liking this. I like this character. I'm interested to see how Kitty Pryde grows as a character. Like, her character arc will be very interesting. And to see, like, her and Wolverine together. I'm assuming he's, like, kind of this big brother to her. So that'll be fun. And I wonder if, like, any more of the X-Men will appear or just Wolverine. We shall see. We shall see in issue 2. Alrighty. Let me fix my lighting. I did not set up my new camera yet. That's what I'm doing next after this. But I just wanted to get this out. We're going to do Watchmen. Watchmen. Okay, you all know that I was struggling with really enjoying Watchmen, right? Like, I did not care for issue 1. Didn't really care for issue 2. Issue 3, I was able to admit that it was growing on me. And issue 4 is finally where I've went, okay, I actually like this. So, issue 4 of Watchmen. If you haven't read Watchmen yet and you start it, just know that it's going to take 3 to 4 issues for you to really get into it. Because that's how long it took for me. Maybe you're smarter than me and it won't take you that long, but that's how long this has taken for me. So last issue, we ended with John sitting lonesome in Mars and kind of just confused as to what the heck was going on. Everything gets explained. Everything about John gets explained. Like why he has issues connecting with humans. So basically, he has the ability, he has this awareness of time, or there is no time for him. Because while he's in the present, he is aware of what has happened in the future, and he is aware of what is happening. He is aware of what has happened in the past. He's living in the present, knowing what is going to happen in the future, which is super weird. So, like, he will meet somebody, and in that meeting, he'll be like, well, this person's going to die within the next so many days, weeks, months, or years. And he knows he only has so much time to spend with them. But he never predicts the future to anybody, which is very, very interesting. But I also think very smart in some ways. Arguably, you'd think if somebody has this gift, you should predict the future and you should keep horrible things from happening. But again, as we know, if you mess with time in one place it's going to mess everything up somewhere else in the past, or if you know what I'm saying. When you mess with the future, you mess with the past, and vice versa, and all that stuff. So it kind of is smart that he just lets things be, and he just lives in this crazy place of experiencing all dimensions of time at once, which would definitely make you less capable of connecting with other people when there's that much going on in your head that you are aware of that really nobody else is aware of. So I kind of understand. And that's basically what he goes through. He's sitting there on Mars, contemplating everything that is and was and is to come. We also get to see where he came from. Oh, and this issue is called Watchmaker. Watchmaker. We get to meet him before he was blue, which helps a lot too. So we get to see his past. And he was living with his dad, and his dad was a watchmaker and mended watches. And so he was learning the trade. And this is in the 1945. And on this day, he's fixing a watch, and his father comes up and says, an atomic bomb has been dropped on Japan. And then his father says, Professor Einstein says that time differs from place to place. If time is not true, what purpose have watchmakers? My profession is a thing of the past. My son must have a future. And then he drops all the contents of a watchmaker's, like the watch pieces, the tools, everything, into the streets of Brooklyn, and sends his son to go study atomic physics at Princeton. And then he gets a job at a facility. He meets his first love. They get together. They break up. They get back together. And then here is where he turns into the blue man, Dr. Manhattan. He goes into the test chamber because he forgot his lab coat there. He had fixed her watch, and he forgot his lab coat with a watch in it. So he goes into the test chamber, and he's laughing at his own stupidity because he goes, ha ha, you guys, I locked myself in. Can you get me out of here? Sorry. Unbeknownst to him, somehow he missed the memo. These things were on a timer to lock and start prepping for the next experiment. And there was no way to override the system. So she actually could not watch him die, and she left. And he was disintegrated, which is horrific. And then some months later, he starts to put himself back together over time. It's just a question of reassembling the components in the correct sequence. So basically, he was already really smart, right? But now, in becoming destroyed, he has learned how to manipulate particles, atoms, and he reassembles himself into Dr. Manhattan. He gets back together, and then they get together, they break up. Like, it's just, the relationship is ridiculous, obviously. He becomes owned by the government, works for the government. He can do crazy stuff, you guys. He can dismantle and reassemble a rifle using his mind. He's got these weird powers. He can just destroy a tank. He's basically like a weapon of mass destruction. He's not human anymore. Not really. And his morality, the morality of activities that he participates in for the government, kind of escape him. Like, he just, it feels like his empathy is gone. Like, he has no empathy anymore. He is, when, I guess you reassemble yourself, when you are just this weird alien-like creature, when you have such a strange concept of time, you're gonna be a changed person. He doesn't join, but he goes to the meeting of the Watchmen, which are the vigilantes. And to him, they're just a bunch of adults playing dress up. They have some abilities amongst them, but they're nothing like Dr. Manhattan. And that is where he meets Laurie. Jane is there. She knows he hooks up with Laurie. Jane's in her 50s. Here's the catch. Dr. Manhattan can't age. He is stuck at the age of 30. He cannot age. So he's 30 forever. And Janie is aging, and he is more attracted to younger women. So then he gets together with Laurie. And Laurie ages and leaves. His whole history, his abilities that are kind of freaky, weird. You kind of feel sorry for him. We come back to present time when he's in Mars. I'm always interested by the fact that we always talk of Mars as being red. But in this series, they've made Mars pink. Like the sand on Mars is pink. And while he is going through the past, present, future of his life, he is also building himself a palace on Mars. We have this really interesting quote by Einstein. The release of atom power has changed everything except our way of thinking. The solution to this problem lies in the heart of mankind. If only I had known, I should have become a watchmaker. Albert Einstein. So basically, this issue especially, but I'm picking up now finally on the fact that all of Watchmen is almost this philosophy of time, philosophy of knowledge. How much knowledge should we be able to have? How much power? How much should we know? Isn't it better in the end to just live a simple life? I don't know. It's super interesting. I really like this one. This is by far my favorite issue. And we shall see what issue 5 looks like. Dunno. SpiderWoman! Okay. When I first read the last 2 stories in here, which were short stories, actually. I thought it was one, but it was 2 short stories. And I kind of was thinking, why didn't we just end at the story that we ended at last week, right? Which is where she gets together with Jerry, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. They figured out the mystery of her father's past, her past, etc. Everything, we tied all the loose ends together. The end, happy ending. That was a pretty good ending for this whole book. But no, we got to continue because we got to get you caught in wanting to continue reading more SpiderWoman, of course. Makes sense. So there's these 2 somewhat disconnected, like it's not, I think there's issues in between this last story and the next one. No, it's not. The Man Who Could Not Die is the one that's next. Okay. I just thought they could have ended the book here and it wouldn't have been a problem. But whatever. They wanted to add 2 short stories on, so they did. Mary Wolfman is the writer-editor. Carmine Infantino did the pencils, and Al Gordon did inks. And Stan Lee presents The Mysterious SpiderWoman and the Man Who Could Not Die. So we open with this scene of her in this cabin, and she is facing a gun being pointed at her. Okay. Basically, this man, he was sent to, this is 1778. So he's been on this earth now for 200 years, over 200 years. Because in 1778, he went to go spy on the British for his army and realized that they were going to be destroyed by the British. The only way to save them was if he stepped up out of the bushes, warned the army, and then he himself would have been destroyed by the British. So one man sacrificing himself for the rest of the army, for his friends, his brothers, etc. But he doesn't do that. And when his friends' wives and his brothers' wives find that out, he actually is cursed. Samuel Davis, you have shown that you have no feelings, that you cannot love your brothers. And one who cannot love cannot find love in turn. Know then you are forever cursed to walk this earth until you find one who will show her love. And so now he has been cursed. And he cannot die. And so SpiderWoman meets him because she and Jerry are at the carnival. And he is trying to jump off of... What is he trying to jump off of? The cable car. He's trying to jump off of the cable car to his death. And it doesn't work because she saves him. He gets super pissed off that she saves him. And he runs off and she runs after him. And he's trying to destroy himself on a motorcycle. And she saves him again. So then he chains her up and is like, you know what? You are a woman who has shown me that you care about me. So thus, when I die, I can actually die. But he has this idea in his head that she needs to die with him. So he's a little bit warped in the brain, but I mean, who wouldn't be after like living 200 years with a bunch of guilt and shame like that? Like, that's really going to mess you up. I'm not saying that condones his actions, but seriously, that will mess you up. He takes her up into the mountains in chains. They're about to jump off this cliff. But they have disturbed a huge grizzly bear who comes out of the cave, and he steps in between her and the grizzly to fight off the grizzly. And then she helps him fight off the grizzly. And he says, you fought for me. And she says, and you fought for me. Even though you knew you would not die, you still fought for me. I fought for you. He tells her his story, and she says, well, I'm willing. I am willing to die for you. You have demonstrated that you are not a coward and that you care. She demonstrated she cares for him. It's like the perfect meeting. So then, she's still in chains. She jumps off the cliff and they fall and the ground rushes up to meet the two. But there is the sound of chains snapping, the movement of one body stretching out to meet the cold, crisp air of night, and the gentle, silent sound of one form sliding free, and another falls toward his special kind of freedom. He has proven himself, proven he is no coward, proven he could care, and in caring he found a woman who would care in turn, and that caring was all that was necessary for one curse to end, and for an eternity of peaceful sleep to begin. And that was that short story, which is very interesting because this is basically this is a story of assisted suicide. And I was like, Marvel just went there. They just covered the topic of assisted suicide, which is a very controversial topic to this day. That is an incredibly controversial topic, assisted suicide. And Marvel covered this in late 1970s. Wow. I was kind of shocked, but very intrigued. There's been a lot of philosophy in my comic books this week. It's been something. Between Watchmen and this, yeah. It's cool. I like it. This is why I think I like the old comics, because they covered controversial topics, like topics that were actually controversial, topics that have real, true meaning and depth to them. Yeah. I think that's why I like it, because even though it's a comic book, it's a story, it's written for young people, there are some actual adult themes in here, and they make you think. In new comics and new books and movies, they don't. They kind of spoon feed you what they want you to think. Versus these ones, where after you read it, you go, that was just about assisted suicide. Nobody in here told me, this is a story of assisted suicide. This is a good thing, or this is a bad thing. Nobody told me whether it was good or bad. Nobody told me it was a story of assisted suicide. But it was a story of assisted suicide. I was able to put that together myself, with my brain. Nobody needed to tell me. And after that, I'm going to have a lot of thoughts and questions, and I'm going to examine myself and figure out what I think about that. And that's what this comic book did. And I think that's awesome because there's not enough stuff out there these days that make people examine themselves and question. So I appreciated this. Our next one deals with luck. And SpiderWoman is not actually that present in this one. We have this gangster at the beginning. This called The Suit. Mary Wolfman is the writer-editor. Carmine Infantino does pencils, and Al Gordon does inks. So Stanley presents The Suit. And we have this gangster, and he's got this fantastic pink and black pinstripe suit. And he is basically running away from another gang. He's got some money. He hides it in a construction site in a wall, and then he gets killed. And then we go into this man and his wife, and he has been out of a job for months. He's job searching. He finds a company that's looking for a salesperson. He doesn't have a suit for the interview, so he calls his brother who works at a morgue and says, "Hey, do you have a suit I can borrow?" His brother goes, "Oh yeah, I got a great suit for you." Ends up it's this gangster suit, but hey, what you don't know won't hurt you. So he puts on this fancy pinstripe suit, and during this conversation, actually SpiderWoman's outside listening, and she goes, "Oh yeah, information I don't need to know about this," because she's always kind of just listening at morgues and police stations and stuff, because you hear interesting tidbits of information. So this guy is feeling all confident. He goes to his interview. He gets given this book that they ask him to read and review because he's going to sell it. And off he goes down the street, feeling good because he's got the job. But the gangsters recognize the suit because it's a one-of-a-kind suit. It's pink and black pinstripe. I don't think it's that great looking, but whatever. It's definitely recognizable. So they're like freaking out because the guy that they think they've killed seems to be back from the dead. So their gang boss sends them back out to kill him again. And meanwhile, the suit takes on a mind of his own and basically walks this poor salesman to the construction site, makes him pick up a pickaxe and find the money hidden in a wall. And that's when these gangsters come upon him and shoot him again. And then SpiderWoman intervenes. This guy is not dead. That book he was given, he's put it in his jacket pocket right here on his chest, and so it actually saves his life. And then she goes, "Okay, I'm going to take these bad guys away, and you should probably go to the police and tell them about all this." So he does. He started out having a really bad day. He's had a bad month. Puts on a suit. Things get better and then worse and then better. He wins a reward. He doesn't die. He gets a new job. The curse turned into a blessing. I wonder if he's going to give this suit back, though. Because some scary things happened to him in the suit. But also some good things happened. He got a job. He got a reward. So that's how they hook you. Tie up all the loose ends and then put in a couple short stories to make you want to keep going. Well, that was smart of them. It was smart of them, I have to say. Okay, we're going to say goodbye to Superman. We're going to say goodbye to 1950 Superman today. I really liked this issue. We got to see Superman's man cave, a.k.a. the Fortress of Solitude. My lights are insane. Fortress of Solitude. Fortress of Solitude in the Antarctic. This was fun. We got to see a little insight into the man behind the cape. The man behind Clark Kent behind the cape. Superman. Deep in the core of a mountainside in the desolate Arctic wastes lies Superman's Fortress of Solitude, where the Man of Steel conducts incredible experiments, keeps strange trophies, and pursues astounding hobbies. Its contents will amaze you, but even more amazing is the impossible enigma behind the intruder who found a way to use the super key to Fort Superman. Also, we find out that Superman keeps a diary. Yeah, a huge diary. The pages are made of steel, and he writes in it with his laser vision in Krypton. So that nobody can read his diary but him. There's also, we find some weird, Superman's a little weird too. He is out as Clark Kent with his friends, Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen. And they're telling him about their wishes and dreams. And Lois wants a pearl necklace. And Jimmy wants this like fancy sports car. And Superman thinks to himself, one day. And then he goes off to his Fortress of Solitude. This huge key that only he can carry and use. And opens his Fortress of Solitude. And this is where it gets weird. He has whole rooms dedicated to his friends. Meaning he keeps mementos of them there. He makes their handmade gifts there. Okay. Not only that, he has life-size wax figures of each of his friends in their room. Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, Batman himself. That's weird. I can understand having a shrine to your friend is a little making gifts to your friends, that's awesome, that's cool. Maybe having a dedicated place to make something, okay. Having a shrine for a friend who is on top of that, there's a live wax figure. If I found that a friend of mine had all of that for me, I would have been seriously creeped out. That's weird. To me, that's really, really weird. Not only do they have a figure of me, it's in a room completely dedicated to me. That just seems really obsessive. Stalkerish, sort of. I'd like to know what y'all think about that, because that creeps me out. Not only does he have rooms dedicated to them, but if anyone was to find the Fortress of Solitude, as Clark Kent is his cover for Superman. We all know this. So he has a room dedicated to Clark Kent. So that people see, he has one to all his friends. Clark Kent is his friend, so nobody can put two and two together and say Clark Kent is Superman. Because, anyway. Yeah. So he examines all his rooms, paints a picture, puts his key back, goes to work, meets a professor who gives him this piece of steel that is supposed to be indestructible. And Superman brings it back to his Fortress of Solitude and is greeted by a mysterious, cryptic message saying, I know who you are. You've got to figure out who I am and how I got in here. And then he spends the next couple days journaling, testing this indestructible steel that ends up being very destructible, and trying to figure out how somebody got into his Fortress of Solitude. He seals the door so that the key cannot be used again. And then to get in and out, he just blasts through the rocks. Somebody finishes his painting. Somebody has been messing with his stuff. He starts having bad dreams. He can't focus at work. He can't focus as Superman. He's just losing his mind. Comes across a puddle of melted wax in front of his Batman statue and apparently puts it all together. And we get a little glimpse in the shadows. And then Superman blasts through, comes back again, blasts through, accidentally dislodges his kryptonite that he has stored there in a leaden box. And this is when our intruder shows himself. And of course, we figured it out by then, because they've shown us in the shadows. It's Batman. Which is like, what the heck is happening? You both are weird. Because this is why Batman was there. Why did Batman sneak into his Fortress of Solitude? As a surprise birthday present. Because what do you get? The Superman, Man of Steel, who can, have everything. You can't get him the perfect present. You get him a mystery. You create a mystery for him, which is what Batman did. The Superman, of course, figured out the mystery, figured out what Batman was doing, figured out how Batman got in there, because he went into this hollow part of the key, manipulated the rock slide with the Krypton that turns out it wasn't real Krypton, so he turned the tables on Batman, and then, they go off and have a party in the Batcave. Superman always comes out on top. Like 1950s, I'm really interested to see Superman over the ages, because 1950s Superman, halfway through the story, figures out everything that is going on, turns the tables on the other person so nobody else knows he's figured out everything and knows everything, and Superman comes out on top every time. His only weakness, literally, is kryptonite. And so I'm very interested to see how Superman changes over the ages. Very interested. Because I think I have some Superman from like 1980 to 1990. Maybe even early 2000. I'm not sure. But I'm very, very, very interested to see what that Superman looks like. So yeah. Superman Giant Annual, Let's in rough shape. See you later. Alrighty. Where can you guys find me? I can never remember. Oh yeah. Tomorrow is episode 2 of Manga Mondays, and we will be looking at Demon Slayer chapters 2 and probably chapter 3. Then Wednesday, because I showed you some hints in my short stories. I went to a comic book store / collectibles store. So I have a little bit of a haul to show you all, so I'll make a video. And that will drop on Wednesday. Thursday I'm on Weebs and Waifus, possibly. And there should be a video or 2 coming out on Weebs and Waifus. Some reaction videos this week. And then Friday, Blast from the Past reviews. We are reviewing... Oh my goodness, we are reviewing Goonies. Whew, I need to go watch that. We're reviewing Goonies, Steve and I. And then, I think that's everything. Yeah, I will see you all somewhere in there.